Hey guys, welcome back to The Bright Side. Macy here, The Bright Side Girl, and today we're going to be talking about my unfinished series. So let me clarify really quickly. These are going to be all of the series that I have started but haven't finished but want to. So I'm not going to be including any series that I've decided to DNF. I'm not going to be including any series that I read before I started BookTube or like from childhood that I haven't finished. It's all going to be within the last 4 years. So everything on this list is going to be things that I actually plan on getting to. I have a unread series video that I will link up here in the cards, and those are all of the series and trilogies that I hadn't started last year, I think, at this time, so I hadn't read a single book in the series yet, and that is way longer and way bigger. But there are a lot of things, series, trilogies, duologies, that I have started, that I want to finish, that I haven't yet, and I plan on making this a really big priority for 2021. I think I have around 47, 48 unfinished series, and I would like to get this at least cut in half by the end of the year, which sounds easy, but that also means I need to be careful about how many new series I start, because then the list will just kind of keep doing this. So a lot of these, I only have like one more book to finish, so I may have even finished some of them by the time you see this video. But for now, we're gonna dive right in. I have a ton of books and they're kind of all over the place. I will grab the ones that are easy to grab to hold up. Otherwise, I will just put up an image. Some of these I don't own all of them, so going to be kind of a mishmash, and we're going to be very loosely going over what they're about because there's quite a few to get to. Okay, so this is book 3 in the Watersong Quartet. So I have 2 books left. I think I already started this one. Yeah, I started this one. I may need to start it over. I read this for Mermaid Marathon last year. I read the first 2 books via audiobook. They don't have the next 2 books in audiobook. So these are by Amanda Hocking. It's a mermaid, siren, Greek mythology series. It's kind of basic, but I just thought it was really fun, and there's a sisterly bond and there's a cute little romance, and I just really enjoyed them. I do plan on reading the next 2 in these this year, and then I'll have the whole beautiful set on my regular shelf because I won't put things that I haven't read on my read shelf in my room. I have a whole system. If you guys want to see it, let me know. This is one I will plan on getting to this year, and shouldn't be too bad. This one I'm kind of torn about. So this is the Darkest Mind series by Alexandra Bracken. I have to finish the 3rd book in the trilogy and then the new 4th book, and I'm not sure if there's any more after that. I know the 4th book follows like a different character, so I could consider it its own series. But it's been like 2 years since I've read these. I'm debating on just watching the movie for the first one to kind of refresh me, and then continuing on. I did really enjoy them. I just for some reason never finished them. They are kind of chunky dystopian books, like they're almost like 500 pages. But I did like this, and I need to see how I feel about the trilogy as a whole to decide if I'm going to keep them or not. Then I have the Canaan Chronicles, also by Amanda Hocking. So I read Frostfire, gosh, I think like over a year ago, and I just didn't continue on, but I was interested. So this is like a fantasy kingdom, goblin, fae type world. You're kind of going back and forth between like the regular world and also this like goblin-y kingdom world. And our lead character, she's like a soldier for the kingdom, and then she discovers all this mystery and things around like where she grew up and all this stuff. So it was very good. I do like Amanda Hocking's writing quite a bit, and the covers are fantastic, so I probably need to reread Frostfire before I get into that one, but it's on here anyway. Okay, another mermaid series. This is the Siren series. This is, I think, is like book 2 or 3. I read the first one, Siren, by Trisha Rayborn, 2 years ago, I think, for Mermaid Marathon. And I really liked it. It has like witchy, small island town vibes, coastal town. I think it's in Maine. I really enjoyed it. It was a little bit dark, but not overly dark. I thought the ending was really good, and I really busted my butt to get the next 2 in the series because these are actually very hard to find. They're out of print, and I really enjoyed it, so I'd like to read the next 2. Again, I probably need to reread the first one, which is unfortunate, but I'd like to read these before or during Mermaid Marathon because I'd like to put them in my recommendations video for you guys and just get them done. Then we have Drift and Dagger by Kendall Culper. This is the 2nd book in the Salt and Storm duology. So that one I read again for Mermaid Marathon last year, but it's not mermaidy. It's like set on an island, and she's a witch, and the witch has kind of protected the island and her family for years to come. It was beautiful and fantastic. I know this follows a different character. I'm not entirely sure if our main character is in this one. It might be in a different timeline, but there's only 2 and I loved the first one so much that I really want to get to this one. We have Ensnared, Unhinged, Untamed. These are all part of the Splintered technically trilogy because this is a novella. I read the a year and a half ago, so probably need to reread the first one. But this is basically an Alice in Wonderland retelling, and it's pretty good, very fun. The world was really cool. Our lead character has like an obsession and an interest in bugs, and I think she can kind of talk to bugs. And I really liked the characters in Wonderland were twisted on their head and were really neat, and has a nice little romance in there as well. Then we have the Descendants series now, I think. I'm missing 1 or 2. So I read the first one last year and I did enjoy it. I've never watched the movies or anything. Wasn't like my all-time favorite. I'm having like kind of bad luck with the Disney-based novels. Like I thought it was good. So this is all about Disney villains' kids. All the villains and everything are on this island with their kids, and it's about them growing up and like learning about the kingdom with all the heroes and everything, and just different things happen. I don't want to give away too much. So I want to read the next one because I want to decide if I actually like this trilogy, especially because I didn't love the first one as much as I thought I was going to, but I do want to try the next one to see. Then I'm just going to hold up straight on till morning. This is not the next one in the series, but Liz Braswell has an entire line of Disney Twisted Tales. So basically these are the Disney movies, like following them very closely, but then the ending or some part of it is twisted. So I read the Aladdin one last year, and basically when Aladdin goes into get the lamp for Jafar, Jafar actually gets the lamp right away, and then the whole world is flipped on its head. So that's how all of these are. So like this one is, what if Wendy first traveled to Neverland with Captain Hook instead of Peter? Things like that. So I'm really interested in these. I did like the Aladdin one. Again, didn't like love it as much as I wanted, but I did enjoy it. I'm not sure if all of these tie into each other or if they're completely separate. So I'm going in order just to be sure, but I should know by the next one, which I think is like the Sleeping Beauty one. So I have like 8 of these. So I kind of need to get on it. Then we have the Percy Jackson series by Rick Riordan. I have only read Percy Jackson. I think I read The Sea of Monsters maybe a few years ago, but I did really enjoy them and want to continue on, especially because I think they're coming out with another show or new movies or something like that. This is just like almost a classic at this point that I need to get to. Wayward Son by Rainbow Rowell. So this is the second book in the trilogy. I don't think I have the third one yet, but I'm iffy on getting it. Rainbow Rowell is one of my favorite writers, but she normally does contemporary. So this first book is called Carry On, and it is about Baz and Simon. It's basically a twist on Harry Potter. So Simon is like the chosen one, the wizard in this world, and then Baz is kind of like a Lucius Malfoy character, but there's like a romance involved in here, and he's a vampire and all this stuff. I really enjoyed the little snippets of the story that they put in Fangirl, which is her contemporary book about a girl writing this series. I didn't love Carry On as much as I wanted to. I did really enjoy it and I found the value in it, but I didn't love it as much as I was wanting to love it. So I'm gonna try this one, see how it goes. I may not keep it though. Then we have The School for Good and Evil, which the first 2 books were some of my favorites ever. So this is a middle grade series by Saman Shinani. Basically there are 2 girls, and one is kind of like a bratty, snooty little princessy type girl, and one is just kind of keeps quiet and she's kind of like into more darker things. And there's a school for good and a school for evil, and basically one night on a certain year kids will kind of get taken out of their beds and be sent to one of the schools. They're both convinced that they're going to go to certain schools, and they wind up going to different ones. And so it's about learning about how everything isn't black and white, about how there's good in evil and good and all kinds of things like that. And it's just basically a magical like wizarding school. So it's kind of Harry Potter-ish, but not like in a copycat way. And I love the school setting. I love the girls. There's romance in here. I thought they were hysterical. So I really want to continue on because there's like 6 books in the series, but I think this is the final one in like the first set of the trilogy, and I know so many people that love this series. It's really great. It's like magical woods and all the things that you love. Next up is Cadaver and Queen. So this is a duology. It's basically like a really weird Frankenstein retelling. There are basically kids that are learning to be scientists. I think this is actually set in like the 1800s. I can't really remember. Basically kind of figure out how to make like robots out of corpses and so kind of ways to bring like the dead back to life, and it's just this whole thing that kind of ensues. I don't want to give away too much. It's very weird and bizarre. I really enjoyed the first one. I love Frankenstein retelling, so I want to read the second one. I think it's only a duology. Again, I'll probably have to reread it, but it's a really fun series, and I do plan on doing like a Frankenstein retelling video like towards the end of the year, closer to fall. Then we have Vampire Academy by Richelle Mead. I finally read the first book in this series this fall. I honestly didn't love it. There were a lot of things that I did not like about it. There was just enough in there for me to want to try the second book. I don't mind high school-y books. Obviously, I read a lot of YA, and so I'm used to those kinds of themes, but I felt like this one was overly high school-y, and I just didn't like a lot of the themes in here. So I did like the writing, like the fast-pacedness of it, and I liked kind of the vampires and their different powers and things, but I'm not sure if I'm gonna read the whole thing. I know this is a lot of people's like really favorite series, and I do know how series can kind of get better as the books come out because the writing improves and all that kind of stuff. So I do want to try the next one to see how I feel, but so far not my fave. Then we have A Boy Called Christmas by Matt Haig. I read this one not in 2019 Christmas, and I was planning on reading the second one this Christmas, but I just didn't get around to it. This is basically about Father Christmas as a boy and like him growing up and becoming Santa and like all the magical things that occur. This is like everything you want for like a warm middle grade Christmassy adventure story. It was beautiful. I listened to this on audio and the narrator was quite charming and lovely, and I just feel like this whole trilogy is just going to give me all the warm and fuzzy feelings. Then we have The Dark Artifices by Cassandra Clare. I have been meaning to get to Lord of Shadows for like almost 2 years now. I really enjoyed Lady Midnight. It's just the pure size of this book, you can see I even started it, has been intimidating to me, and I have been really slow with physically reading it lately, but I want to keep going because I got really invested when I read Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy and then Lady Midnight, and I love the fairy world in here. So if you're interested in this series, unfortunately I would say start with City of Bones at the very beginning and go all the way back, because I feel like you're not going to enjoy this at all really if you haven't read those because of all the detail and things that all tie together. It's just one of those huge fantasy series, but I need to get to it really badly because I'm really interested in the next set of books in her world as well. Then we have The House of Furies. I do own these now. So I read book 1 and 2 like a year ago, and I loved them. I felt like they were super underrated. This is like a dark, gothic, fairy demon type story. It's set I think around the 1800s. It's about a girl that is out on her luck, and she winds up getting a job in this mansion as like a maid to kind of pay her way and get herself going. And then she finds out all these creepy things that are happening and that the other servants and things may not be how they seem, and it was fantastic. So I need to read the third one. Then the bane of my existence, A Court of Mist and Fury. I keep putting this off. I've read ACOTAR twice now to prepare for this one. Again, just so giant. I've just been putting them off because I have so many unfinished things that are a lot smaller. But I did really enjoy ACOTAR. I wasn't like crazy in love with it, but I did enjoy it, and I thought it was just like a really fun read. So this is a fae story about our main character Feyre, and she accidentally kills a wolf that winds up being a fairy, and she gets sucked into the fae world. It has a very loose Beauty and the Beast retelling. It's probably the most popular book series that I own on BookTube, and I have no excuse, but it will happen this year. We have The Bone Witch by Ren Chiapeko. I read this one in February. It is a very thoroughly built, detailed fantasy witchy world, and at first I wasn't sure if I was going to like it because it's a little slower and a lot of detail is thrown in there, but I wound up really enjoying it, especially once I kind of understood what was happening. I have a feeling books 2 and 3 are going to just tie everything together and make it super fantastical, but just know that this one is more of a slow burn and it has a lot of detail, so just pay attention to that. But I think it's well worth the read, and I'm excited to continue on sooner rather than later so I don't forget all the goodies. I think we're going to stop there and make this a 2-part video because I do like giving you the descriptions of the series as well in case you want to read them, but I know that that makes this video a little extra long. So stay tuned in a week or two and I will do a part 2 of this video. And thank you guys so much for watching. See you next time on The Bright Side. Bye!